Today is January 2nd, 2025, the brand new year. I think it was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I uploaded a video on this channel called Personal. It's still there. It's pretty vague, but I want to talk to you guys again because, boy, have I recently had an epiphany about my life, about who I am. Why am I sharing this to the internet? I don't know. I probably won't even look at the comments. Normally don't. But last video, I did. In fact, I skimmed through the majority of the comments, and a lot of people had some really good advice and some really interesting things and perspectives that I was kind of surprised by, because normally, again, I don't look at the YouTube comments when I upload. Sometimes I do. It's usually like the first 20, but yeah. So I read through all the comments, and you guys have some awesome perspectives that have... between me and my therapist and like reading YouTube comments and stuff, I've really come to this realization that 2025 is going to be the year for me. And I'm not talking from like a YouTube standpoint. I'm talking about like personal developmental wise. Also, look, I have a dresser. Isn't it nice? I got it from Urban Outfitters. Really nice. Something that I know that's really random. Welcome to my ADHD, but it's significant because I haven't had a dresser in 4.5 years. Okay, no, over 4.5 years technically. And in 2024, I had to leave all my furniture behind. The furniture that I did have, I had like, I think 4 or 5 pieces of furniture that I got in my early 20s, and I've kept on to that. I had to leave it all behind in a crazy situation that happened in 2024 where I just had to get up and completely move my living situation in less than 24 hours. And it was like an emergency for my own safety. And it was bad, right? So I just like grabbed the main necessities, this computer, my electronics, my dog, my bed, and just left. I had to leave for my own mental health. And if I hadn't have left, I would be in prison right now, like low key. It was a situation where I had a .357 Magnum behind me on my back, and it was a situation that I shouldn't have been in, but a situation that I didn't create. Somebody else did, and I got involved. But 2025 is the year for me. I have realized that in my last video, I kind of got emotional a little bit, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm enough, and I really want to get married, and I was supposed to get married, and blah, 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 you know, whatever. Super cringe shit. Real shit, but also cringe. The reality is I've been thinking a lot about that. And for those of you who don't know, I grew up super conservative Christian, evangelical Christian background, and with that, there is some like built-in like marriage is really important type of deal. But also I look at my mom and dad, and my mom and dad are a fantastic couple, and they've been married for over 40 years. I look at my grandpa and grandma, both sides of the family, they've been married for over 40 years. Marriage is kind of a big deal in my family, and people are really committed to each other, and I find that commendable. Like nothing's going to change my perspective on that. However, what I've realized is because I've always thought that it's this really cool thing seeing my parents married for that long, I've kind of like aspired myself like that's something that I want. I want to get married. I want to have one partner that I'm dedicated to for the next 25 years of my life, right? But the reality is, and what I'm realizing is that it's definitely not worth it in this day and age, in this culture. And I'm having to shift my thought process of what I've wanted, which was marriage, into like, what am I doing with my life? Genuinely, why am I hung up on this idea of marriage? Because the reality is marriage is for the most part a scam. Now, if you're married, I'm not saying that your marriage is fraudulent or anything, but for me, this is how I view marriage now. And it's been a radical shift in my thinking process because of the fact that I realized that it's not as popular anymore. Two, if you get married, you have a significant risk. Okay, like in the U.S., you get a divorce, they can take 50% of everything. You know, I'm not willing to risk that. I have assets that people don't know about in terms of like crypto and other things and investments I've put into that I'm not willing to share it with anybody because I earned it, I worked for it, it's mine. And if I choose to share something with somebody, that's going to be because I choose to, not because we had a falling out and you can take half of whatever I worked for, right? Like, I'm sorry, like if I've worked 20 years for a job and I have a divorce, and a man or a woman should not be able to take 50% of my investments, right? Like, I'm sorry, I think that's ridiculous. If they have a job and they make their own money, why should they get 50% of what I earned and I worked for? It's crazy to me. The divorce laws are crazy. Anyway, it's not something that's worth the risk to me. I have decided also that, like, if I ever was to potentially get married, the only way I would ever marry anybody, no matter who they are, how rich they are, doesn't matter. Any of those things don't even matter to me. But, like, the only way I'd ever marry somebody is that I have to marry somebody who's willing to sign a prenuptial agreement. And the majority of people these days, anytime I bring up a prenuptial agreement, they're like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? It protects you too. It protects you, the man, the woman, from having your stuff taken away because you have a prenuptial. Hey, it's a responsible thing to do. Prenuptial agreements are really undervalued. And I think there'd be a lot less grief and a lot less strife and a lot less drama and a lot less toxicity and a lot less everything if people just took the stick out of their asshole and literally said, you know what? We need to protect both of ourselves in case something happens. People change. And that's another thing I've realized with 2025 is that people really fucking change. The people who you think that you know the most, and I'm talking about like a relationship dynamic, right? The people who you love the most, you commit to the most, you do the most for, are sometimes the real people who teach you the biggest lessons in your life and how much you're worth it as a person and why you will never settle for someone like them again. You know, I look at my past relationships and I really see one of the biggest problems is that I've never had like the highest view of myself. Maybe I come across arrogant and conceited online, but like when it comes to my IRL, I am not like the most confident, like, person there out there. And I always go in these relationships where I don't want to be held back anymore. And I realize that marriage is holding myself back. It absolutely is holding myself back. I don't have freedom. And I now at 33 years old, I'm realizing I need to live life to my fullest potential and do whatever the hell I want. I want to travel so badly. If I'm married, I'm not going to be able to travel, especially if I'm in a relationship with somebody with children. Right? Like I can't travel. I can't leave for a month and go do stuff that I want to do because I would have other responsibilities. And I've been there and I love that. When I was in it, I loved it. But now that everything in my life is just completely 180'd, right? I'm rebuilding myself even down to my goddamn furniture slowly but surely because furniture's expensive, man. Furniture's expensive. You know, I bought this $150 couch. Okay. True story. This was just a few months ago. I bought this couch off Amazon, and it was from some China place, right? So I bought this couch. It was comfy. I set it up, sat on it for a whole week, fine. I invite a girl over, right? I invite this girl over. We're sitting on the couch. Just like the movies, the couch broke. The couch went, and all the legs just snapped upward, like completely out and then up. My lesson to you is don't buy $150 couches from Amazon because I was going to be cheap. And normally, I'm not a super cheap. I normally don't go for the cheapest stuff. I normally go for either like mediocre, medium end furniture, or if I'm going to buy something, I go all out. Like I'm going to buy I had a couch a couple years back. It was going to be my one couch. I was going to have this for the rest of my life. A plumber actually screwed up my couch by not doing his plumbing stuff, and a bunch of stuff dripped from the ceiling onto the couch, and it ruined my couch. I'm like, wow. So I got rid of the couch. But the point of the matter is, the fact of the matter is, what am I saying? I don't know. The point of the matter is, don't buy $150 couches from Amazon. Invest in a little bit higher quality furniture. So that doesn't happen to you, because it was pretty funny, honestly, at the time. But also, $150 just gone. Spend that extra couple $100 and get something that's actually going to hold two people on a couch kissing. Anyway, furniture. Look, you're actually watching my ADHD be displayed. This is why I edit videos so much, is because this is how I talk. I talk fast. My brain is just like 100 miles an hour. I switch topics, whatever. What was I saying? I was talking about marriage. Oh, so traveling. In my last video, I said I'm going to go to Antarctica, or I was planning on going to Antarctica. That is still in the works here because my application's still pending. I haven't gotten my application. I don't know if I'm going to get accepted. If I don't get accepted, what I've decided to do is I'm taking a leave of absence for the summer. So this summer of 2025 is going to be wild for me, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to travel to New Zealand and I'm going to travel to Australia. Those are the two places that I've always wanted to visit since I've been a child. I want to go specifically to the Steve Irwin Zoo or Wildlife Center or wherever that is, because that was like, he was my childhood role model growing up, and I love animals. So if you live in Australia or New Zealand, make sure contact me in some way, because I will use one of you guys, and I will pay you to show me around the country, like low-key, and I'm not even exaggerating. My other goal is to also do something different, which is to travel as cheap as possible. Because in the past, I've always traveled. I've always went to hotels, and I get, some more medium or high-end places, and I just stay there, and then I just work around and travel out from there, and I have a place to stay. But I want to be on the move. I want to just take my leather backpack, a few necessities, and that's it, and travel and explore. Completely solo. If I have any fans from New Zealand, I don't know if I'm going to visit. I want to go to the Hobbit area, so I don't know if that's south or north. But if I have any fans in Australia or New Zealand, and you have an extra space, maybe this is a good way to get murdered. But I'm going to risk it, because I'm in my fuck it stage where I don't really care, and I just want to explore and do whatever and experience life. And sometimes that requires risk. And if meeting up with somebody potentially from another country who could be a parasocial fan and murder me in my sleep, I'm going to take that risk to save a couple $100. And by the way, I will pay anybody if you have an extra space someplace in New Zealand or Australia. I will pay you. I'm not somebody who's just going to leech off of other people. I don't do that, unlike some people in life. A lot of people in life do that. But yeah, that's what I plan. So summer's going to be crazy. And obviously, I'm going to take a camera. I'm going to vlog a large portion of it. I'm going to try to anyway. And I'm going to upload stuff during the summer on this channel, just because why? Why not, right? I love experiencing new cultures. I love experiencing new places. I love traveling. I've always loved traveling. And for the last 5-6 years, I haven't done any of it, because every relationship I've gotten involved in and the people I've let in my life, I've limited myself, and I'm done with that. So that's my epiphany. I'm in my slut era too. Like, I talked a little bit about dating apps in my last video and how they're horrible, and they are pretty bad. However, it is interesting, being on these dating apps now in my as age 33. One of the things that has this may not be the healthiest thing, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Tinder has actually kind of boosted my confidence as a man, especially when you get cheated on, because realistically, when you get cheated on, no matter who it is, right? That tanks your self-esteem. It does, right? And that's what happened. I got cheated on again in another relationship, and it is what it is. You got to move forward. You can't just focus on that and let it hold you back. But Tinder, now that I'm in my 30s, 33, in the last few months, I've gotten over 500 matches, and some of these people are drop dead gorgeous, and it's just wow, these people actually liked on me. This is so superficial what I'm saying, but it actually made me feel a little good. This person actually saw a picture of me, and they sent me a message, and they said that I look really hot with tattoos all over my body. And I was wow, that's really cool. It's weird. And it may not be the healthiest thing. I know, I'm acknowledging that, but I'm just being honest though. I'm in my slut era, and no one's gonna hold me back at all. I'm gonna be single, but also I gotta go out and get out there again, right? I gotta meet new people, accept new things, experience new experiences, use new things, try new things, and man, I'm kind of excited for this 2025, right? It's a new year, and I'm not letting myself be held back by anyone or anything. And I'm kind of relieved, and I'm also not going to let people come into my life. I'm going to be very selective with who I let come in my life, right? Because otherwise, I've always just been, I'm always open arms, right? And I just accept, and I'm trying to accept everybody into my life. And the reality is, I have been really bad at just getting to know people who aren't really good people, So my goal is to every person I allow in my life is to sit down and, look at them for who they are, the things that they tell me, and recognize red flags, something that I've always ignored, right? Here's the thing. The reality is, I had somebody tell me that they cheated on a prior partner. And for whatever reason, even though I had been cheated in a prior relationship and another one before that, I, for some reason, wanted to give that person a chance. And I looked past what they told me, flat up. They told me this, getting to know them, that they cheated. And I didn't justify it, but I dismissed it as like the circumstances that they were in. It was complicated, and they did this thing, then they regretted, and they said they were wrong, and they shouldn't have done it, blah, 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 right? I dismissed that. And then I go into a relationship, and then I think that this person would never do something like that to me, and then they do that. But they gave me that red warning down the line, and I ignored it. That's a me issue, right? They're still responsible for what they do, but at the end of the day, I'm responsible for not dismissing things that I know are a problem because I want to see the best in people. And what I'm realizing is that sometimes you can't see the best in people. Sometimes there is no best in people because those people are just bad, evil people. That's the reality. Marriage is not worth it, in my opinion. And unless you're going to sign a prenup, screw that. Don't do it. Don't get married unless you have a prenup, because you're just putting yourself in a position of losing everything. And I'm at the age of 33, and I'm not willing to lose everything again. I'm not going to lose finances. I'm not going to lose my furniture. I'm not going to lose my self-esteem. I'm not going to lose who I am as a person fighting for somebody who won't fight for me. And who, like, I don't know, man, I always get involved with these people. And, you know, I'm working through therapy with this. I always get involved with these people who they just project their internal issues and things that they're going through onto me every single time. Like, that's been my last 3 to 4 relationships has been that. And also for 2025, like, I'm not going to enter a relationship. I've been single for over 6 months now, and I'm going to make it into at least, my goal is 1 year or 2 years of me being completely single and not jumping into a relationship, because that's another thing. That's another problem of me. I've always been like 2 feet, like, oh, let's just jump in. Woohoo. Relationship after relationship after relationship. Why am I doing that to myself? You know, it's this internal like need to be wanted or wanting to build my self-esteem that I have to be in a relationship. I don't need to be in a relationship. They're a waste of my goddamn time for the most part. They are. I've wasted how many years with people who aren't deserving of my time, my money, my effort, my love, everything that I've given to people is just not worth it. It's not enough for them, right? And then they project all their issues on me every single time. It's projection. It's so easy to do because people can't look inward and say, you know what, these are the areas that I'm lacking, and I've screwed up, and you know, it's just easier to blame somebody else for your own problems all the time. And then me being a stupid little perfectionist little bitch, then I start internalizing everything that they're doing and all the projection that they're doing onto me, and then I'm starting to doubt myself, thinking, oh my god, I'm this and I'm that. I'm like, but I'm not, right? Like, I'm not. God damn. So you know what's even crazier? Something that I did back in 2023, I was convinced that I was a narcissist, like somebody who genuinely like only thought about himself and everything, right? And part of that reason was because I had a prior relationship that told me that I was a narcissist, and then another relationship that I was a narcissist, and I really took that to heart. I'm like, my goodness, like, I'm this super selfish person, but the reality is I paid money to do a professional psychological narcissistic test, and I'm not a narcissist at all. Nothing. In fact, it was everything opposite of that. And the only thing that was on the chart, specifically after the diagnosis that I tried to get, because I was convinced I was a narcissist, was that because I am on the spectrum, you know, last year I got a diagnosis officially, autism level 1. Sometimes I can be insensitive to the needs of others, and that insensitivity comes across like a narcissistic trait. And that's how sometimes people can interpret that my lack of sensitivity as being a narcissist, which I was like, okay, that makes sense. But overall, like, it was just fascinating to me that I was really convinced this last year that I was like this super, super selfish person, when the reality is everything that I've done says otherwise. And then I think about my last 2 relationships, and it's like, actually, it's the exact opposite of that, but both people were trying to convince me of how much of a narcissist I was. So, like, what is it, right? I don't know. Well, I'm just ranting. I'm just rambling about random nonsense that you guys probably don't even care about. But anyways, I just wanted to share that with you. 2025 is going to be the year, okay? And I want to take you guys with me. So yeah, this channel is really just going to be random uploads of whatever. I do have an X-Files video that's going to be, I hope to come out this month. We'll see if I can actually get it finished between work and stuff. But yeah, I hope this Hope you watched this video all the way through. If you didn't, that's perfectly fine. If you clicked off and you're like, man, this guy is annoying, I completely understand. If you do any video gaming, there's a link down below. Join my Discord. It is a gaming Discord. It's exclusively for gaming and art and anime and like nerd shit. So if you're not into that, then you probably won't find any common ground in my Discord server. But it's open to the public now. And yeah. I just streamed a movie in there last night, and then I streamed on New Year's Eve. I streamed The Princess Bride because a bunch of my viewers hadn't actually watched that movie, so I streamed it in my Discord. I have a little community over there. Come join if you play video games, and I'll see you guys later for our next video whenever that happens. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye, 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 bye.